All right, well, today is March the 10th, 2020, and I had hoped to get a video out on the 9th, but couldn't quite get that done. So here we are. It's about 12:30 a.m. on March the 10th, and we currently have a temperature of 53 degrees here in the foothills of Los Angeles. It's just starting to spit a little bit, not quite a drizzle, but just a little bit of water vapor condensing up in the atmosphere and falling to the ground. Nothing measurable yet. We have a relative humidity of 73%. The dew point is 45 degrees, and the barometer is reading 29.95, which is actually risen slightly in the last 3 hours. And so right now we're looking at the GOES 17 water vapor map, and we can see a large weather system just offshore of southern and central California. Here's California right here. I don't know if you can see the grid very well, but there's California. We got Arizona and the western part of the country right there. So we have a developing gale. If we take a look at the let's go ahead and take a look at the surface analysis map real quick. We can see that over here we have a 1004 millibar stationary developing gale right here. We can see that purple occluded front, which indicates that there is some heat in the center of this low pressure. That's a warm front overtaking a cold front in the middle of a low pressure. That should never happen, but that's what we're seeing. That's that purple occluded front. So let's go back and take a look at the water vapor map. And we can see earlier today there was some very well-defined angular features right here in this vortex, and we can see also that there's a lot of lift right here outside of this black area. This is where the heat is being injected, or rather transmitted to this weather system. This system is being throttled. The pressure is only 1004 millibar. And so we're keeping an eye on this. This is going to bring the rain. All this moisture yesterday was moving in. We saw the heavy chemtrail aerosol spraying over Southern California. And we had beautiful natural clouds in the morning hours, and then by about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 in the afternoon, it was completely just hazed over with these aerosols, which dissipated all the water vapor laden clouds. The chemtrail haze is not water vapor. That's a chemical desiccant, and that stuff spreads out. It caps the atmosphere, prevents the lift, and this is why we have no rain. That's one of the tools that the weather controllers use. The other tool is to use satellite and ground-based transmitters to generate on-demand high pressure, like we're seeing here offshore. If we look at the western IR map, we can see some pretty good detail here on the GOES 17. Now this is the clean long wave water vapor loop, the clean long wave infrared map. Okay, this is the rainbow map, and we can see some pretty good detail here. This is the vortex, the lowest pressure point of that developing low, which is being throttled by the satellite transmitters, and we can see some of that activity right in here. The rotation, which should be occurring right in the very center of that low, it suddenly just stops. For instance, we can see right here we've got the center of the low is right there. They completely squashed that. Let's go ahead and watch that again on the rerun here. We have rotation, and watch what happens. They hit that with the transmitter, and it completely evaporates. We see a tiny ring there, and then we have another portion of the low which tries to rebuild itself. So over here we have a complete, literally being squashed by descending heated air. So once again, this is the vortex, the lowest pressure point in the weather system. Now everything in the northern hemisphere spins counterclockwise. Low pressure spins counterclockwise, high pressure spins clockwise, and so the descending air, the heated descending air, just evaporates and basically disrupts the lift in the atmosphere And so we see the rotation diminish. And also notice that this moisture here is not wrapping into that the center of that low. It's all being disrupted. And the same thing is going on over here. So now if we look at the, let's go ahead and look at the Doppler maps here for Southern California. These were taken here just about maybe an hour ago, 45 minutes ago. We can see a lot of thunderstorm activity here by the Salton Sea and Palm Springs and that area. Los Angeles over here, and in some of the foothill areas we're starting to see some snow. And we can take a look at another map here. We have the close-up here of the San Diego area. This is the Salton Sea. There's a lot of thunderstorms going on there by just south of the Palm Springs, La Quinta. You've got the Salton Sea, and then Borrego Springs, Julian over here, and then Escondido, Oceanside, San Diego. So this area is getting some pretty good rain. That's good because the Salton Sea is just a quagmire of very, very salty water. And I've said for years, if the people, the state got together, they could aerate the water. They could engineer, a method to aerate the water in several areas around this very shallow lake. This is only about 50 to 60 feet deep, although it's about the size of Lake Tahoe. But if that water was aerated, it would quickly kill off the algae. When you oxygenate water, algae will not breed and all that. So basically, stagnation is the problem with that giant body of water. Okay, so let's look next at this is the Southern California area, Los Angeles. This was about maybe 45 minutes ago, and we see here there's some widespread light rain. And then back east, there's a big weather system. We can see the right angle on that, right over getting close to the Michigan, Detroit area right here. Giant right angle. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of that activity here over the eastern side of the country. Now, earlier today, this was a very well-defined, we can still see the one straight edge there, but earlier today there was a real right angular feature there. Of course, I didn't have time to get a video out at the time, but there's a lot of manipulation occurring here. So if there's some tornado activity through this area tomorrow or overnight, we'll know why, because this is being manipulated. There's no counterclockwise rotation there. There's basically high pressure being forced into the low pressure system here, which has very little rotation. This should be spinning vigorously. This entire area of water vapor should be spinning. That's all being throttled, and we can see some rotation, just a very slight amount of counterclockwise rotation right here. So we would expect to see some tornadoes and very wild weather throughout that area there over Indiana and Illinois into Michigan and all that. So we'll see what the news reports tomorrow. Getting back to the West Coast, we can see that infrared map once again. This is the new GOES 17 imagery. Here's a close-up of the West Coast. We can see that developing gale right here. And we see all this lift. This is what was bringing the thunderstorm activity to the San Diego area we were just looking at. Okay, so this is just going to be a fairly short update. These maps are fairly good, and we'll have to get used to them. Again, I checked with the Himawari satellite images. They're still using the GOES 15 imagery on the NOAA GOES West. If you go to that group of maps, you can click on the Himawari 8. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. And you can look at the West Pacific and South Pacific and all that area, Australia, Taiwan, Philippines, Japan. That whole area is still using the high contrast GOES 15 excuse me, imagery. So now looking at the wave analysis, we see that developing gale here right off of California is producing 18-foot, 15 to 18-foot swells right off of Southern California. And as that moves towards the coast, we'll see some fairly large swells moving into the west-facing beaches. See here, this is what's generating all those waves. Okay, so hopefully we'll get another report up real soon that's a little more comprehensive with the jet stream information, the pressure maps, and all the rest of it. In the meantime, there's quite a circus going on in the political arena. We'll keep an eye on that. And poor Joe Biden, what a disaster! I think somebody ought to pull him off the stage with a hook. And you know, anyway, okay, that's it.